Hi, I'm David Parsons from the Mind Lab by Unitec, and I'm going to talk to you about lean education. So what is lean? Well, it's an approach to manufacturing that has its roots in the Toyota production system in the 20th century, but more recently it's been applied to the development of software in the 21st century, in the post-agile period. And there are two books in particular that explore this idea. One is Popendiek and Popendiek's 2003 book on lean software development, and the other one is Anderson's book from 2010 on Kanban, which is one of the techniques used inside lean. And some of these ideas may transfer also to education. The book, The Machine That Changed the World, by Womak Jones and Roos, is a very interesting book about the Japanese car industry and how, led by Toyota after the Second World War, it moved from mass production to lean production. Now, lean production was able to reduce waste, upskill workers, improve quality, and provide more variety in products than was possible with mass production. Since then, people have been looking for ways of applying these lessons to their own activities. And this is particularly true of software, but can we also apply them to education? And those are the questions we're addressing in this presentation. Womak and Jones followed up their previous book with another one called Lean Thinking, and what they did here was apply the lean production ideas from the car industry to a range of case studies from other industries. And they bring out a number of challenges of lean thinking. So the case studies describe the long, slow and endless process of lean transformation. It's not a simple, easy solution. And perhaps a further issue for educators is, why would we read a book about reducing inventory and shortening the supply chain if our product is things like intellectual property and graduating students? So the challenge there is to try and look at our systems through new eyes, to understand the value and the value streams that underlie education. Now, Womak himself wrote a short-term piece on lean education, and he defined it as three processes: design, make, and use. So designing the knowledge that we're going to deliver, making our learning experiences, and continually delivering those. And can we make those into lean processes in the classroom? Now, it's not easy. One of the very interesting questions they raise is, why is it hard to define value? Why is it so hard to start at the right place, to correctly define value? Partly because most producers want to make what they are already making, and partly because many customers only know how to ask for some variant of what they are already getting. And I'm sure you can see that this is very much what we tend to do in education. As educators, we tend to work in the same models that we've used for a very long time. And when learners come to schools and universities and so on, they kind of expect something that's also been there for a long time. And it's difficult for both types of stakeholder to see how we might redefine the value of what we're trying to achieve. So a lean approach would look at the value stream and say that every step in our educational supply chain should deliver value to the learner. So we have to keep asking ourselves, does this part of the curriculum deliver value? Does this form of assessment deliver value? Does this step in the enrollment process deliver value? And constantly focus on how we deliver value to the learner. We don't worry about the provider, although of course as providers, if we deliver value to the learner, we'll ultimately benefit because they will want to come and learn with us. Now, one of the things that underlies our transformation into being lean is the concept of Muda, or waste. And there are two types of Muda. One is the waste required by fixed components in the way the system currently operates, for example, a student management system, and we can't remove those just yet. But there's also type 2 Muda, which is waste that can be eliminated immediately. Now, of course, educators will encounter lots of type 1 Muda. We work within very bureaucratic organizations with systems that are very difficult to change. But nevertheless, there's also plenty of type 2 Muda that we can identify and remove from the value chain. One of the concepts that comes from mass production is the batch and queue approach. And we tend to adopt this mass production approach in education. Every semester or term we deliver a set of classes over a fixed period of weeks, and it may have no relationship to how long it might take someone to actually learn something. And every year we produce a batch of graduates, and we don't know whether they're ready or not to take advantages of the opportunities around them. So a lean approach rather than batch and queue is flow, whereby the learning would flow seamlessly by right sizing what is offered to the learner. So rather than broadcasting batches of content in our mass production lecture halls, the lean educator would be engaged in the whole learning value stream, working closely with their colleagues across the whole process and getting away from these batch blocks of material. And mass production tends to have a push approach. We push out content. So in education, we push content towards the learner over timescales that we dictate. But in a pull model, adopting the lean approach, the learner would pull from the system what they need, when they need it. There's an important concept of the lean enterprise. That is, you may be able to squeeze the Muda out of your school, your department, your faculty. But a lean enterprise actually spans the whole value chain. And it may involve many organizations. If you're a school, it may involve the school that feeds students into you, and you may then feed students into other schools, and you're all part of the same lean enterprise. So how do you convince all of the stakeholders in that value chain to cooperate in becoming a single lean enterprise and set aside their own agendas? Well, it's not easy. It's a major task, but it's an important part of lean transformation. So what I've tried to do here is to take some of those ideas and provide a concept of what I think lean learning might look like. So there might be a curriculum delivered by multiple organizations tailored to suit the learner across a lean enterprise. There will be no restrictions on hours per week or total time span or how learning components may be combined. So we get rid of a batch and queue mode and have a more flow approach. There will be walk-in, lifelong enrollment, any combination of blended learning modes, so we would have a pull approach rather than push. And there will be instant assessment feedback, for example, perhaps just one way in which we might think about removing inventory from our system. And you might want to add your own ideas about how some of these lean ideas could work in learning. So let's say we want to improve from our mass production system to a lean system. How do we improve? Well, there are two types of improvement: Kaikaku, radical improvement, and Kaizen, continuous incremental improvement. Now, neither of these have an end point, but the starting point can be any time. It can be today. And perhaps the first step is to be constantly on the lookout for Muda, waste, that we can remove from our value stream. Womak also talks about the Gemba, the real place where problems are visible and where the best improvement ideas will come. In lean education, he suggests teach process thinking and problem solving by doing. Develop a range of Gembas for applied learning and use the school as a Gemba if you can't find other venues to use. And grade students on the degree to which problems are actually solved using a rigorous method. I do find Womak's approach to lean education a little bit too industrial, but nevertheless I think it does have some useful ideas inside it. Now, Womak and Jones' book finishes with 5 principles of lean thinking, and what I've tried to do here is to take those 5 principles and adapt them a little and provide 5 principles of lean education. Precisely specify value by specific learning experience. That is, what is the value of each experience? Identify the value stream for each learning experience. How does it fit into the wider value stream? Make learning flow without any interruptions. Let the learner pull value from the educator. And the overarching one, pursue perfection. So these are just some ideas from Womak and Jones that we might transfer across to teaching and learning and use them as a way of describing what we hope to achieve in lean education. Well, my references primarily come from Womak and colleagues. So we have The Machine That Changed the World, about the Toyota production system, the follow-up book on lean thinking, and Womak's paper on lean thinking for education. And I've also included Anderson's book here on Kanban and Popendiek and Popendiek's book on lean software development.